New Orleans, make some noise, black family! All right. Peace and love, peace and love. What I like to do, family, is I just want to make a couple of remarks and then I want to go into questions and answers. I kind of want this to be your time to talk and interface with me. So for starters, I want to let y'all know that in this April, I'll be doing a black college tour for black boys in a Pan-African boot camp. And New Orleans is going to be one of the pick-up and drop-off locations for that. All right? So let me explain to you exactly what this is, because there's always been black college tours. Mine is going to be a little different. First year I'm doing it, but I'm not new to it. So what we're going to do is going to be 5 cities. New York is going to be a center. New Orleans is going to be a center. Atlanta is going to be a center, I believe. Virginia, Houston, or Dallas. And what we tried to do is we tried to line up the spring break trip, the tour, with the time that the children in New Orleans will be out of school. So I understand y'all school district is a little bit different from others. So I've been calling around and doing some research and trying to find out exactly when most of the children in New Orleans are out for spring break. Okay? And what I came up with, and y'all gonna let me know if I'm right, because this is gonna be very important to make sure I get y'all boys at the right time. And what I got is spring break in New Orleans is March the 27th through April the 5th. Is that correct? For the school district. Y'all don't know, y'all strike me. That sound about right. All these parents in here, nobody know the spring. See, this is the stuff I be talking about. But this is what y'all can do for me. Don't worry about it. What y'all can do, I'm gonna make sure y'all have my phone number before I'm done tonight, and y'all can text me. Y'all can do the research and say, yeah, we got different school districts and charter districts and public districts, but this is the week that most children in New Orleans are going to be off. Because it don't make no sense to make New Orleans a center if I'm not running the tour at the time the boys are out. Are y'all following me? So I need y'all to give me that information in the next couple of days because we have to solidify the tour within the next week so y'all can go ahead and pay on it. The tour is not being done for profit, it's being done for the sake of our boys. So we don't look to make money off of it, we just want to cover the bills. That's the tour bus, the hotel, meals, entertainment, because we want them to have fun as well. So in the daytime they visit a college, and in the nighttime they have me at the hotel. Seminars we're going to run. Okay? 11 to 17. 11 to 17. If your son is 18 and you feel he need to go, we'll make an exception for him. If your son is 10 and you think he's mature enough to hang with boys of that age, we'll make an exception for him. So the seminars are going to involve such things as honoring, protecting, and respecting black women. That's going to be one of the seminars. Okay? Another seminar is on financial planning and building your own business. We're going to teach them through the process of how to start your own business. Okay, there's going to be seminars on how to deal with the police, white supremacy, how to deal with your parents when you got issues with them, how to survive depression and anger as a black male, African history and culture. We're going to give them as much as we can of the Frederick Douglass and Marcus Garvey Academy curriculum that we can in a full week. Okay? Let me give you the website you can go to register your son. The website is up, but you won't be able to register for about another week. And that website is Dr. Umar, HBCUtours.com. That's DRUMAR, HBCUTOURS.com. All right? We're going to have one bus per city, 1 week each city. And I want that bus to be packed with our boys because they need it. So I'm hoping that y'all didn't spend all that Christmas money, okay, out there buying video games and cell phones and tablets and sneakers and jeans when you should have been saving that money to send your son on this tour. For those of y'all who got little boys, young men who going down the wrong path, this is where they need to be, okay? For some of y'all who got sons who doing the right thing, they still need to come on my tour because what we're going to give them, they're not getting nowhere else. Okay, you're going to fill out a form. You're going to let me know if your son got any personal issues. Okay, there will be time set aside for me to deal with your son one-on-one. There's going to be small group. Okay, boys who are suicidal, those without their dads, those with a history of sexual abuse, the whole nine. Okay, we're going to pack as much as we can in to that whole week. Now, I know some of you mothers are going to ask me, what about my daughter? All we hear you talk about is boys, boys, boys. What about the girls? Well, first of all, let me clarify. In saving the boys, I am saving the girls. All right, let's clarify that. Let's clarify that. What's the one thing we always hear our sisters complain about? Not being able to find an appropriate mate. But we try to make sure your daughters have an appropriate mate. Okay, so in fighting for the boys, we fighting for the girls. However, there will be no girls during this April's tour. This is only for the boys this year. Next year, it will be co-ed. The reason it's not co-ed this year, I'm not ready to deal with that female energy right now. Okay? Some of these girls in New Orleans, they hot. Okay? Let's just keep it real. Let's just keep it real. And we was all young one time, and we know how that go when you out on them trips. And the camp leader go to sleep. And you all twerking in somebody's room. Y'all know how that go. So what I'm going to do is we're going to handle the boys this year. Next year we'll do the boys as well as the girls. Okay, so we're going to take care of the princesses next year, but this year is just for the boys. Now, for black men, 17 to 27, I'm going to have a retreat in the late summer, early fall for brothers between the ages of 17 to 27. That decade of black men who just out there, addicted to marijuana, unemployed, fresh out of jail, nowhere to go. Father ain't in his life, can't communicate with his mom, don't know whether he want to work, go to college, go to trade school, don't know where he at right now. We got a lot of those brothers in that 17 to 27-year-old range, so we want to have a retreat for those brothers so we can come together as brothers and bond and work through our issues, okay, and not deal with ideology. That ain't what it's about. Okay, we have took an ideology so far that is working against us more than it's working for us. Every time you go to a meeting, a couple idiots want to stand up and argue their philosophy. I don't care about your philosophy, because I don't care what ideology you believe in, ain't none of us solved the problem yet. So what makes you so damn special? What makes you so special that everybody got to stop believing what they believe and believe what you believe when you ain't solved the problem yourself? So the way I deal with that is, whether you Hebrew, Moor, Nawapian, Pan-African like me, guys in earth, black socialist, whatever you into, I respect that. That's your right. But respect other people's right not to believe in your version of the reality. Okay? We all have an angle. Nation of Islam, that's an angle. It works for some, it don't work for others. Pan-Africanism, that's an angle. It works for some, it don't work for others. And all the ideologies are different ways of perceiving the same reality. None of them are wrong until you start trying to force them down somebody's damn throat. Are y'all following that? Okay? So, that's going to be the Black College Tour. Y'all got the website, Dr. Umar Johnson, HBCUtours.com. Second thing, for all my parents in the room, I host a weekly teleconference for black parents every Tuesday, 6 to 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I believe that will be 5 to 7 your time central. Okay, every Tuesday morning, if you ever have a question about your son, your daughter, ADHD, special ed, IEP, mental health, any issues with African children, you can call into the Dr. Umar hotline every Tuesday, 5 to 7. I don't know the phone number off heart, so I'm going to give you my number, and you can text me, and I'll text you the call-in number. And I'm doing this because some of y'all will call me today and say, I have a meeting with my child's teacher tomorrow, and you expect me to respond to you within 4 or 5 hours like you so damn special, I ain't got nothing else to do but wait on your phone call. Okay? So now, I don't have to track you down. You know if you got a question, New Orleans, you call me about no more parents talking about they wanted to do something to my son and I didn't know what to do, because you know you can get Dr. Umar for 2 hours every Tuesday, no matter what. You can get me directly. Y'all feeling me on that? Okay. Next up, we took our first group trip to Africa last summer. We're going to do it again. This time we're trying to do South Africa, Ethiopia, and Ghana. Okay, we may have to cut out one of the countries because some of the brothers and sisters who want to go are saying they can't get 3 weeks off of work, but they can get 2 weeks off of work. So we may reduce that to 2 countries. Start saving your money. The trip is probably going to be about $4,500. Get your passport if you don't have it, because they are delaying the processing of people's passports. So we'll include everything except your spending money and maybe your meals. Okay, brothers, if you ain't got a passport and you owe child support, you're not going to get a passport until you pay off your child support. Okay? So make sure you ain't got no back money owed, because your passport application will not go through. So get with your baby mom, draw up a contract, and do what you got to do so you can get out the country for a while. All right? Now, I was in Jackson, Mississippi a couple days ago for the Kwanzaa celebration. Okay, 2nd and 3rd day of Kwanzaa. Excuse me, 3rd and 4th day of Kwanzaa. Greensboro was the 2nd day. There's a school for sale in Jackson, Mississippi. Those of y'all who follow my work know we've been trying to raise $2 million to buy the St. Paul's College in Virginia. Well, that's still an option, brothers and sisters. St. Paul's still has not sold. The problem with that is they will not give your brother, Dr. Umar, a lease-to-own agreement. They're telling me that in order for me to get the keys to St. Paul's College, they need to see $2 million up front. Well, there's a problem with that, because I sent the commercial inspector to St. Paul's College, who found out that there's $1 million in damage to the structural facilities of St. Paul's. So if I give St. Paul's $2 million, we still got to get another $1 million to fix it. So it doesn't make sense to pay up front. So I told the president of the university by text, because he texted me 3 weeks ago when I was over in Europe, and he said, "Are you still interested?" I said, "Of course I'm still interested. I've been raising money for 6 months. We got $250,000. Why can't y'all take that as a 10% down payment with a promise to pay the remaining $1.9 million? But they say they want straight up cash. So we still raising it. I'm the only serious buyer they got. I don't know why they're not working with me, especially since it's a black board of directors who claims they want to keep the college in the hands of someone who's going to stay true to the mission. However, while I was in Jackson, I went to a white military school, a residential military school that's also for sale. They asking for $4 million, but I think we can get them down to $2 million. It's in better shape than St. Paul's, but it's a little smaller than St. Paul's. So let me tell you what the plan is. The plan is between now and the summertime, I'm going to have a series of black community town hall meetings in Lawrenceville, Virginia, because Lawrenceville is all black. St. Paul's is in a black community. That's the good thing about it. It's in the middle of nowhere, but it's all black. So I'm going to meet with the brothers and sisters in that community and see how much they're willing to help me push my plan over the top. And then I'm going to meet with brothers and sisters down in Jackson, Mississippi, and see how serious they are about helping me push my program over the top. And my decision as to whether or not the first school going to be in Mississippi or Virginia is going to be based on the support that I get. But there's a plan C. St. Paul's is plan A. Mississippi is plan B, the white residential military school. Let me tell you what plan C is. When the grand jury in Ferguson decided that they were not going to indict Officer Darren Wilson for the murder of our brother Michael Brown, I began to ask myself whether or not America is the place for the Frederick Douglass and the Marcus Garvey Academy at all. So I reached out to some brothers in Africa, and I said, listen, we got $250,000 so far raised for this school. Black folk then went Christmas shopping with the rest of the money that I need. So I said, listen, if I don't get this $2 million to get one of these schools, what do y'all think about me taking that $250,000, bringing it to West Africa, and building the school there? And so I spoke with a king. He called me, traditional African ruler. Okay, he said, listen, we're going to have a meeting about that, Dr. Umar, and we want to get back to you. So while I was over in the Netherlands, the son of the king sent me a message, and he said, we had a meeting with the elders in the village, and they all are in support of you 100%. We need you to start sending us some paperwork on the school. We want to get some blueprints made up, and if you decide to bring your school to Africa, we will help you build it. And with the $250,000 that you raise, Because of the devaluing of African currency, that 250,000 US becomes 2.5 million in many African countries. So we've already reached the goal if we put the school in Africa. Now, let me back up because I'm looking at some of my mother's faces. Like, how the hell is this going to help my son? So let me explain this to you, black woman. I know I'm a Pan-Africanist, so whatever I do is for all African people. I don't do sectarianism, okay? Now, if the school goes to Africa, do you know what that means for your pocketbook? That means that the tuition you would have to pay in Mississippi or Virginia, you would have to pay less than half of that if the school is in Africa. Because the cost of living is so much cheaper. Which means that even with the round-trip air flight for your son to go to West Africa to school, you still are going to end up paying less than half of what you would pay if the tuition is in America. So that means a lot. A lot of my mothers got to make a decision. Because you know, some of y'all like to strangle your sons to death. Don't let them grow the hell up. I know what I'm talking about. Y'all got to decide whether y'all want to let him come to Africa and be made a man or stay here with you. Now, some of y'all are going to say, well, what about my son's safety in Africa? Well, first of all, you need to understand something. That crime in Africa, anarchy, is a regional issue, not a continental-wide issue. Something might be going on in the Congo, but Ghana might be peaceful. Something might be going on in Nigeria, South Africa might be peaceful. Just like Hurricane Katrina was going on in New Orleans. But for the rest of the country, they was unscathed by it. So I'm saying all that to say that I would never put your son in a situation where the political climate is unstable. The country that I have in mind is very stable and hasn't had any issues like that for a very long time. So you won't have to worry about that. Exactly. Not only that, your son is going to be safer in Africa than he ever would be with the New Orleans Police Department. Are y'all following what I'm talking about? So, for those of y'all who are interested in working at the school, please send me your resume. The email address for resumes is fdmgresumes@gmail.com. F for Frederick, D for Douglas, M for Marcus, G for Garvey, resumes, R-E-S-U-M-E-S @gmail.com. Now, yes, I need math teachers. I need science, I need history, I need language, but I also need a lot of folks who are not necessarily licensed teachers. I need people for security. I need people for the lunchroom, folks who know how to cook. I need individuals who know how to do raw and whole food preparation because my school is going to be 80% raw and vegan, 20% meat. Now, I know some of my extremist vegetarians out there are saying, why is it 80-20 and not 100% raw and vegan? That's because my ass going to eat a burger once in a while. Okay, I'm just going to keep it gangster. Okay, I'm not going to lie to my children. Okay, once in a while I'm going to get a rib or some shit. I'm just going to keep it real. Okay, but if you want your child diet to be 100% raw and vegan, we don't have a problem punishing him like that. It's all right with us. Okay, however you want it to go. But if you know how to do raw and vegan food, we need your resume. If you are a farmer, if you know how to farm, we need your resume. If you know how to do natural hair care, we need your resume. We're going to have the kindergarten through 12th grade natural hair care curriculum for the girls. Okay? Because in my school there will be no perms, no weaves, no extension, no straightening comb, no haircut. Okay? None of that processed stuff. I'm not knocking you, sister. Because y'all come from a different generation where y'all was raised on European values as being phenotypically attractive. We want to eliminate that from your daughter. So I'm not telling you that you have to, don't interrupt please, this ain't that type of party. Now, I know that, but don't interrupt me though, is what I'm asking. Y'all want to spend so much money on cosmetics. So I want to take that out your daughter. I want to make her so comfortable with being naturally African that she could be in a room full of weave-wearing black girls and be totally at peace with herself. That's what we're trying to do. That's what we're trying to do. And for the ladies who sit in the resumes, if you plan on working at the school, okay, you will have to be natural too, sister. You don't have to be natural when you send in your resume, because I know you need time for the new growth to grow back. I know that, okay? You're talking to a barber. I was a barber major in high school, okay? So I know you need time for the new growth, but when you show up for work, you got to be natural, sister. That's how that's going to work, okay? Now, if you're sending me a resume to work at the school, you got to fulfill 2 conditions. Respectfully. I know people got their own lifestyles, and that's your business, but our school will be based on traditional African family structure only. Traditional African family structure only. If you into something else, this ain't the place for you. Don't send me no app. Don't try to invade my school, because you will not survive it, okay? If you into another lifestyle, go work for New Orleans Public School, not me. Number 2, your partner better be an African. The people who work in my school will be role models for our children. You cannot be a role model for our children. You cannot be a role model for our children if your mate, male or female, doesn't look like your mother or father. I'm very serious about that. I'm not knocking white females. I'm not knocking white men. I ain't got nothing against them personally. Okay, I got something against the white supremacy that they practice, but I ain't got nothing against them personally. Okay? But because I love and respect black women, I cannot condone a man working at my school, standing up in front of our sons, talking about black power with a European queen. That shit ain't happening at the Fred Davis Brothers. So I want to make sure we clear. Okay? I know some of y'all into the colorblind movement. I respect you being into the colorblind movement. Ain't nothing colorblind about me. I see clear. Okay? And your children are going to be made to see clear too. So if you want those children to be into some type of we just all get along philosophy, don't send them to my school. In fact, don't send them to my boot camp either. Because I'm going to tell you right now, I might only have your son for a week, but when he come back, he's going to be a whole new man. He's going to kick in the door. Boom! Mama, change your hair! Alright? So some of y'all don't know if you want to see your son on my boot camp. Alright? So that's that. Brothers and sisters, people are trying to make our brothers and sisters in Ferguson, Missouri feel bad about the way in which they reacted to the non-indictment by the grand jury of the killer cop who got married a few weeks after he shot him. But anyway, they want me to impudiate and repudiate them. I'm not going to do that, brothers and sisters. I stand in solidarity 100% with the brothers and sisters in Ferguson. All right, 100%. The violent and the non-violent. One thing we have to understand as a people, sometimes you have to react violently to things. Sometimes you have to react non-violently. Do you realize that because they were violent, the Ferguson situation reached all the way up to the United States Office of Human Rights? United Nations, excuse me. Because they were violent, they forced the world's largest government to take a look at police brutality against black men in America. Do you realize that it hasn't taken place since almost the time of Marcus Garvey? They made the world court look at what white cops are doing to black boys. So don't tell me that they were wrong. They were right on point. They did it the way it should have been done and got the results that they did. Now, as far as burning down the buildings, what is my take on that? I support that too. No, I'm being serious. Because those stores that were torched, and let's not get it twisted, a lot of them stores were burned by undercover plainclothes FBI agents. Let's not get it twisted. Let's not get it twisted. I don't know if y'all saw the news the other day. In fact, there's an article in Newsweek today about white plainclothes cops who was in one of the protests. And one of the protest stores noticed that there was a cop, pointed him out, and the cop drew a gun on the fellow protester. Okay? Which is why I do not support white participation in black protests. Okay? I'm not saying every white person in the protest, okay, has a negative intent. But what I'm saying is when you integrate and multiculturalize the protest, you end up with more non-black people than black people. Do you realize that half the protests they've been having ain't had a single black person in it? You turn on the TV and a protest for Eric Gardner, all white. Protest for Michael Brown, all white. You say, well, Dr. Umar, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with it? You multiculturalize the protest, you can no longer claim white supremacy. The minute you let other folks in It no longer looks like white supremacy. It looks like a human rights issue. We're not fighting a human rights issue. We're fighting African racial genocide of black men. And when you bring others into the fold, you dilute it from genocide to a miscarriage of justice. It goes from extermination to failure to protect people's 14th Amendments. You dilute the intent and the strength the minute you add other people into the struggle. We have to learn to stand alone sometimes. We have to learn to stand alone sometimes. We have to change some of the ways we think as we move into this new year, brothers and sisters. And one of the things we got to get rid of is the conditioning by the church, and the conditioning by the mosque, and the conditioning by other religious institutions that make us believe that we're not allowed to see color and that we're not allowed to be loyal to our own color before we're loyal to other people. We will always be last until we put ourselves first. We will always be last until we put ourselves first. The lawyer, I met him right here in New Orleans, July 2012. There was a conference, the Urban League had their national conference in New Orleans, 2012. They invited me to come down and do a workshop. I haven't heard from them since. But anyway, I had a chance to sit down and meet Benjamin Crump. The Trayvon case was hot at the time. Don't get me wrong, he was a good brother personally. We had a conversation. But as an attorney, I have issues with him. And I got issues with the fact that he has become the official bourgeoisie lawyer for every black boy murder. If you lost the Trayvon case, why the hell do I want you for the Michael Brown case? And if you lost the Michael Brown case, why the hell do I want you for the case in Cleveland where they shot the 12-year-old brother? Why do you want a lawyer who has an energy of failure attached to his name? I'm not knocking, but as an attorney, I think you're kind of weak. Are y'all following me? You do not fight, okay? That's like me going into a meeting for your son and they diagnose your son as mentally retarded and you bring Dr. Umar in there as a consultant to consult on this case of your son being misdiagnosed as retarded, and we in the room and the white folks is lying and doing all kind of stuff, and instead of speaking up for the lies in the evaluation, I just sit there. And when they say your son retarded, I say, well, you know, sometimes justice doesn't work for us, but we still have to believe in the system. What would you think of me then? He's not a fighter, y'all. God forbid we lose another black boy, but my vote is to get a fresh new spokesperson, and my vote is to get a fresh new lawyer. Get one of them brothers and sisters right out of law school who ain't made a name for themselves. Let them fight that damn case with heart and with courage, brothers and sisters. Now, black men, I want to say this to my brothers. In 2015, we have to recommit ourselves to our women. We have to do that for the sake of the community. Our boys need to see black men in love with black women because the black family is under attack. The black family is under attack. Brothers, I'm just being real. A lot of us ain't married. We need to get there. I'm not saying you got the Russian black man, but if we're going to save the black family, all of our boys have to see us in wedlock, not tolerating the black woman. Because see, I'm a therapist. I deal with a lot of couples who tolerate the hell out of each other. Are y'all following me? Not toleration. We're talking about a deep love and commitment. We got to make loving a black woman more sexy than just sleeping with her. We got to make being married to the black woman more attractive than just dating her. Why? Because the black family is almost a thing of the past. I was at the movies a few weeks ago. I went to go see No Good Deed. Taraji P. Henson and Idris Elba. And I'm watching this movie up in Philadelphia, and I'm trying to get the plot, and then I find out what the plot is. Idris Elba breaks out of jail to go find his white girlfriend, who he thinks is cheating on him. And then on the other side of the movie, Taraji P. Henson is married to a black lawyer, and we find out that her black husband is cheating on her with the same white girl that Idris Elba broke out of jail to kill for cheating on him. So the whole movie was about white coochie. I leave that movie and go to another one to see Addicted. I want to see this because they said this was a best-selling hood novel. So I go see Addicted, and that's about a black woman married to a good black man cheating on him with a white woman. And then I come home and turn on the TV and Olivia Pope staring in my damn face. Scandal ain't even the scandal. The scandal in Scandal is why is it the #1 show for black women in urban America. The real scandal is not Olivia Pope. The real scandal is what is the real reason that so many black women love that show. Let me tell you, New Orleans, because you don't make your children read. By a show of hands, who in here bought their children for Christmas or Kwanzaa a set of encyclopedia? One hand. Who bought their children for Christmas, Kwanzaa, or birthday a brand new dictionary? Not the one from the dollar store, but the real dictionary. Who bought their children a thesaurus? Almost no hands. But if I said cell phones, clothing, you bought them all this garbage, most of it they don't even want to use after 2 weeks after Christmas. After 2 weeks after Christmas. Listen, y'all, we have to deal with the contradiction in the fact that we claim to not like being victims of oppression, but we are willing to finance that oppression we don't like. It bothers me that I only got $250,000 for FDMG. But white folks gave Darren Wilson $300,000 in 3 weeks. They gave him $300,000 in 3 weeks. Dr. Umar still floating at $250,000 after 6 months. Don't get me wrong, I'm grateful because I'm getting a lot of donations. My issue is not the volume. They're coming in by the dozens every day. So I'm happy with that, but the amounts need to be higher. If everyone who donated gave me at least $100, we would be at $2 million. I know we're going to hit the $2 million because y'all support my work, but I don't want it to hit 10 years from now. Are y'all feeling me? I need it to hit like next week. So the bottom line is if y'all want that school to stay in America, I need to get the $2 million. If I don't get the $2 million, I got to float it on over the Atlantic Ocean to Africa. Now some of y'all want to say just put it in Africa any damn way. Why are we even messing with America? Get us out of here. Okay? So we're going to work on that. But brothers and sisters, let me say this and then I want to take some questions. Let me say this and I want to take some questions. Those of us who consider ourselves conscious are not really conscious, we are learning. Okay. And there's a difference. Yes. When you are conscious, your behavior changes. When you are conscious, your values change. When you are conscious, your thought process changes. We really do not have a conscious community. We have a culturally learned community that is still possessed by the same demon it is trying to fight. One of the reasons why we have not made more progress than we have is because most of us have been thoroughly indoctrinated with white supremacist personality. And in order for you to eliminate racism in the community, you have to eliminate racism in yourself. Every black woman has the seed of a white girl in you. And every black man has the seed of a white boy in us. And until you exterminate the slave master living inside of you, you'll never get rid of the one on the outside. Most of our work is psychological. Most of it is. That's why people say, why you want to build a school first, Dr. Johnson? Why don't you build an army? Really? You want me to give self-hating, jealous, petty-ass, envious black folks who read a few black power books some rifles? Do you know what they're going to do with them? The same thing our brothers did in Africa after they kicked the white man out. They turned their rifles on each other. If you don't change the mind of African people, you don't change nothing else. And we have to stop spending so much time trying to resurrect lost souls. We at war, brothers and sisters. That means everybody isn't coming for the ride. We have psychological casualties right here in this room. Some of you are psychological casualties. I can't waste the rest of my life trying to get you to see the light. I got to find those souls who are willing and able to fight and build the situation. And let me say this. The so-called conscious community, I don't know whether to call it a conscious community or a con artist community, but the conscious community has become another mega church, brothers and sisters. I'm just going to be real with y'all. I can speak like this. I'm the most requested speaker in the conscious community. I can speak like this. It's become a mega church. In a mega church, you have a bunch of preachers and bishops who use God's word to get paid. And in the conscious community, you got the same damn thing, who use conscious information to get paid. I'm not knocking anybody's hustle, but I got an issue with the fact that we are operating under the same ethos as the pastor does. Our people did not leave the church to come into the movement and get swindled just the same. The pastor pimps with the Bible. We pimp with consciousness. Neither one of us is giving the people what they need, so how can we claim to be any better? We got to really analyze this conscious situation. We got to analyze it. Because if we don't, and it's going to be up to y'all. Y'all the ones who are going to have to start holding us accountable. Y'all the ones who are going to have to start saying, what are y'all doing with some of this money y'all making? Y'all the ones who are going to have to start saying, what institution are you building for the children that should even justify me listening to you for 5 minutes? Y'all have to make us more accountable to y'all. Because right now, this has become a rap circuit. We might as well get signed to Def Jam and Universal and MCA. Because we're doing the same thing that they do. Now, a lot of us don't like to hear this. Because we like to think, because we're reading books and going to Africa, that we're changing circumstances. You are not. All you're doing is finding a way to live more comfortably with your oppression. That's all we're doing in a conscious community. The Christians go to church and they sing and they pray, and that's how they cope with white supremacy. And we come to the lecture and we read and we study, and that's how we cope. But we're not transforming the circumstances. Slavery is not just about knowing where you come from. You're dead wrong. You're dead wrong if you think that just knowing your history eliminates you from being a slave. Slavery is about a power relationship. It is about a power relationship between two groups of people. Do you realize that many of our ancestors who were held in bondage knew their history? Do you realize that many of them knew their culture? Do you realize that many of them continued to practice traditional African spirituality? But they were still enslaved. Not mentally, but physically. Why? Because of the power exercised against them. Information does not change conditions. If we want to change it, we have to organize. And that is the Achilles heel of black folks. We would rather fight than work together. Even now. In fact, every ideology I've seen in the conscious community has been used to separate us more than bring us together. Every time I turn on the YouTube, two idiots fighting over who is right and what they believe. Neither one of them doing shit, but they just fighting over what they believe. Are y'all following me now? Yes. You see? We could have stayed in the church for that. We had the Muslim church war. We had the Jehovah's Witness Seventh-day Adventist wars for that. We didn't need to go to red, black, and green and deal with the same situation under another flag. Brothers and sisters, I want to end by saying this. Get yourself right spiritually in the new year. Yes. Stop using culture to disguise your unhappy selves. I'm seeing too many people get all off in the culture to deal with their depression. Get all off in the culture to deal with their low self-esteem. Get all off in the culture to get their ego validated. You're not supposed to use African history and culture to validate what you have never become in life. Make peace with your personal demons. If you got an addiction, it's time to kick it. If you got problems with your mother and father, it's time to forgive it or ask for forgiveness. Don't take your dirty laundry from 2014 into 2015. One of the reasons black folk are so sick, beyond white supremacy, one of the reasons I find in therapy we're so sick, we carry too many damn grudges with us on a daily basis. Right. It's amazing how hard it is for black folk to forgive other black folk for wrongs committed. And do you know why it's so hard for us to forgive? Because we don't think other black folks are worthy of it. We don't think other black folks are worthy of it. You so conscious, but you got a mother you ain't spoke to in 5 years. You so conscious, you got a brother in jail you ain't seen in 10. You so conscious, you beating on your wife at home. You so conscious, you addicted to crack, alcohol, cigarettes, or marijuana. And you brothers with this weed, let me say this. I ain't got nothing against it. Okay? But I do have something against it when you become addicted to it. That's one of the reasons I'm against the legalization of marijuana. Some of our brothers came, Doc, how you opposed to the legalization of marijuana? Because I'm going to tell you why. 2 reasons. Number one, they're going to spray it with chemicals to make sure it causes all types of neurological problems. Same thing they did in Vietnam. Brothers came back messed up because the Vietnamese sprayed the weed. Messed us all up with all types of chemicals. That's what the FBI going to do to the weed. The weed that comes to the hood ain't the same weed they go to give. That's not. It's another addiction. The worst thing you can give black folks is marijuana, alcohol, cigarettes. You know why? Because instead of fighting and organizing against white supremacy, we would just cope with it by smoking our lives away. Are y'all following me? Okay? So I cannot support anything that's going to come into our community and make us more comfortable living under white supremacy. I'm not for it. You don't need no damn addictions right now. You don't need no food addiction. You don't need no sex addiction. You don't need no alcoholism. You don't need no television. You don't need no radio. We need stuff to be very basic so we can stay focused on what the hell we're supposed to do. That's why it's easier to get stuff done in Africa than you can get it done here, because they can afford all the distractions that black folk can afford. That's right. Half of y'all can't wait to go home and see the damn highlights from playoffs today, NFL. Tell me I'm wrong. You got too many damn distractions. And that's why it's so hard for us to fight white supremacy, because we're comfortable living under white supremacy. Most black people do not want to eliminate it. We just want to improve our relationship to it. Al Sharpton didn't want to eliminate white supremacy. He just wanted to improve his place in it. Jesse Jackson didn't want to eliminate white supremacy. He just wanted to improve. Half of y'all sitting here right now, we might have got a child. And once they give you one C-section, they want to keep on giving you a C-section, because the C-section is emergency surgery, black woman. In fact, I need to stop going to the hospital and start having the babies at home. We need more midwives, and more dudes. No offense to the white folk in the room. No offense to the white folk in the room. But me personally, I got something wrong spiritually with the fact that the first thing a black child sees when they come from God to earth the first thing they touch when they come from God to earth is the hands of their oppressor. And you wonder why they crying like that. I've been in dark matter for 9 months. And the first thing I come out is I see my oppressor. The oppressor touches the baby before the father touched the baby. The oppressor touched the baby before the mother touched the baby. You gonna tell me that the ancestors ain't squinching over that? Because in our culture, every child come back is an ancestor come back to finish a previous assigned task. First thing I see is the oppressor. We got to change that game. Some of you sisters got to go and get your midwifery license, get your doulaship. Let's open up some birthing centers. So mothers ain't got to be rushed in. They want to rush you in and force you through the labor and then get you right out because they're trying to make money. And we got to stop bringing lust babies in the world. We got to start bringing love babies in the world. Too many children are coming to this world and neither parent want them. I work with them. Neither parent. The mom don't want them and the dad don't want them. Why are we doing that to each other? We got all these black kids up for adoption and no black person wants to adopt a black child. Why? 215. I'm picking with y'all. 215 Philadelphia 989 9858. 215 989 9858. 215 989 9858. If you're on Twitter or Instagram, you can follow me at Dr. Umar Johnson. If you're on Facebook, follow me at Dr. Umar Ifatunde, I-F-A-T-U-N-D-E. All those other pages on Facebook are phony fraud pages that are being created by my haters and black feminists who don't like me. They all over Facebook, and some of y'all might be in here. To hell with you if you don't go to that crew. And I figured out why the black feminists don't like me. You know why? I finally seen them all. and they ugly as hell. And a whole little crew. There's like four. One was like a measle,